Each production incorporates close to 100 students in the cast and in the tech crew. And we just wrapped up our musical a couple of weeks ago, and it is my pleasure to welcome the Bulldog Theater Company to do a performance for you of their production of James and the Giant Peach, Jr.
Nothing to do now but enjoy the adventure. Tally-ho, away we go. Just catch this tune and stick with me. We'll set our sail on upwards. No place where we gotta be. We're tumbling off when nothing's bent. How true adventures go begin. Take a ride on the tide of the tide.
Your slurping. Come and get some plump and juicy. I guess not hungry. Well, at least we tried. Whoa! Come on, everyone, you can do it. If you double the pleasure, twice the snack. You start dividing a word, then two row back.
It's like they turn into a different person.
An amazing world where everyone is amazingly perfect.
And
This
All those in favor say aye. It's up to you. Did you hear that?
That scene was behind her rant.
At this point, we will be hearing our recognitions, our employees of the month, and our partner in education for April 2016. The board will recognize Alexandra Wise, Wagner Ranch grade 5 teacher, as our certificated employee for the month of April. Alexandra Wise, move this in a little bit so you can hear me better, is a 5th grade teacher at Wagner Ranch who plays an enormous role at her school and for the district. Her 5th grade students enjoy a highly developed, state-of-the-art educational program. Hallmarks of her program are choice, differentiation, and higher-level thinking. In addition, Alex is at the forefront of integrating technology into the classroom. This year, Alex has been an anchor at 5th grade, serving as a mentor for a new teacher and supporting another classroom during the teacher's extended absence. She also serves as the school's webmaster, providing up-to-date information in an easy-to-use format. Alex is a thoughtful, quiet leader whose input is highly valued by her colleagues and supervisors. She provides leadership on the Wagner Ranch leadership team and on the district curriculum committee. We feel fortunate to have Alex in our ranks, and she is most deserving of the honor of Teacher of the Month. Thank you. Next, we have Debbie James. I'm going to read it anyway. Someone will make sure she gets her certificate. So Debbie Jameson is our district personnel technician and is our classified employee for the month of April. It is a pleasure to recognize Debbie Jameson, the district's personnel technician, as classified employee of the month. Debbie is being recognized for her great efforts in helping the district attract and obtain the finest quality individuals for employment. Debbie has worked for the district for 8 years in a number of capacities. 2 years ago, she moved from her original role assisting students with special education needs at school sites to a new role in the district office as administrative secretary for the Special Services Personnel Department. Debbie's willingness and capacity to learn new things and take on additional responsibilities was apparent from the start and exceeded expectations. Because of this spirit and ability, she was promoted into the key position of personnel technician. Once again, she has exceeded expectations in her new role and is improving personnel practices in a way that will positively impact the district for years to come. Congratulations, Debbie. And last but not least, we have Jennifer Sasson, Glorietta Parent Volunteer, who is our partner in education for the month of April. We are happy to recognize Jennifer Sasson as this month's partner in education. Jenny is an award-winning landscape architect who graciously shared her expertise and volunteered her services in support of Glorietta's recently renovated outdoor educational space. Jenny provided a conceptual and schematic garden design that took into account varied visions as well as a fixed budget. Jenny was quick to identify, Jenny was quick to identify technical layout concerns and quickly provided drainage, slope, and design alternatives that were approved and implemented. Furthermore, Jenny agreed to manage the construction phase of this project, making it a very smooth and timely process. This honorary recognition is a small token of our appreciation to Jenny Sasson for her valued contributions. We thank Jenny and Stewart House, as well as the rest of the Glorietta Garden Committee, for their dedication and commitment in support of this new gopher attraction. It's now time to start digging. Thank you. I'm just like hopefully go for free attraction. Okay, at this time we move on to information items. Communications and announcements. First from OEA President.
Good evening, Charles Shannon, OEA President. It's going to be short and sweet. I did want to commend all the directors of OUSD. No matter when it is, I can call them and they will pick up the phone or get right back with me, or they'll meet with me. An example is Kathy Marshall the other night spent 2 hours with me. And you know what? She wasn't bothered a bit. She said, this is important. I want to hear what you have to say. And there's a lot of two-way communication, and I really appreciate that, Kathy. I'm on the phone with Jen on a regular basis. She always asks when I call, how are you? How are the kids? How was your weekend with your mom? I also talked to Carolyn Seaton today, and that was the first thing she said. How are you? Good to talk to you. She asked me about Mother's Day, and I did the same. So we have an amazing school district of very committed directors and school board members and our new superintendent. Just last week, I came into the district office expecting that I'd have to make an appointment with Kathy Franklot, who does such a great job of making sure I get an appointment right away. But I saw a door open, and I said, oh, I'm not used to that door being open. I peeked around the corner, and Carolyn got right up out of her seat, ran up to me, gave me a hug, and said, so good to see you. And we had a great conversation. These are the examples of good communication, and I really am indebted to this district for their willingness to be able to drop what they're doing and talk to a teacher, or talk to a staff member, or talk to a parent. Those are the kinds of examples of exemplary district where people build a relationship, care about one another, and move forward. I am so excited by our new superintendent joining us and bringing even more of that same type of spirit to this school district. I can tell that we're beginning a new future, one of the 21st century, where we're not just connected by our electronic devices, but we're connected because we meet personally and face to face say, hey, how are you doing? What can I help you with? We can do this together. Thank you so much. Good night.
Do we have our CSEA?
We do.
I know you're here. I didn't know you had anything you wanted to speak. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Steve Woodman, CSEA. I was going to say every word exactly. I don't know how you beat me to that. Kathy, thank you so much for what you did. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's really all I want to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Procedure?
Well,
On you.
you know, actually, again, I just want to thank everyone, all of the Orinda community members for the very warm welcome that I've received. And it's hard to believe that I'm just starting week 2. And in many ways, I've just been so fully embraced. I feel like, you know, I've been here so much longer than that. And people, no. Because people just made me feel so welcome, like I'm already a part of the family. And so for that, I'm just forever grateful. But what I'd like to do is go ahead and if we could, the next portion, I have 2 directors who would like to kind of give brief updates. I believe one is Ms. Marshall, and then Raymond Marr would like to also give a brief update.
Looks like it's on.
You're on.
So good evening. I wanted to inform the board that we are continuing in the process with our LCAP, the Local Control Accountability Plan. We've had 13 plus input sessions, and that input is now moving into a draft of the state template, which will actually be posted on the website at the end of this week. And the posting will remain in draft form, and we will be collecting comments from the public as they review it. And as we're getting comments, we may be making additional changes as we proceed forward. And then with all of those changes, it will come as a draft to the board in the first meeting in June to review and discuss and make any other changes.
Last Monday, we migrated the district office to Gmail, converting us over from Exchange. Staff has been getting up to speed on the new webmail interface, and we've also been able to identify a couple bugs that have popped up, and we're working to resolve those bugs, and looking forward to coming up with a process and plan to roll that out to the rest of the district.
Yes.
Okay, now it is time for our consent calendar. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all the consent items. Each item on the consent calendar approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Do we have a motion on the consent calendar?
Julie, I wanted to just pull one item, item M.
Did you say M or N?
M.
As in Mary?
M as in Mary, yeah, thank you. And then I could make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve the consent calendar, all except for item M.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, and we will move consent item M to the end of our action items. So it'll be after action item K. Okay, at this time, we will move on to action item A, appointment of superintendent as secretary to the Board of Trustees. That's my item, although I don't think I have, do I have anything to support that item? So, this is just a matter of form, that we have a new superintendent, that you are appointed as our secretary, so that is what we're here for. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, I will take this to public comment. Are there any comments from the public on this item?
Looking forward to it.
Back to the board. If there are no, if there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the appointment of superintendent as secretary to the Board of Trustees, Dr. Carolyn C.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm honored to serve in that capacity, thank you.
One more title. At this time, we will now go to action item B, resolution 16-10, authorized signature resolution. So this is another, we have a new person as our superintendent. We need to modify our authorized signature resolution to show who is in charge here. So that is what we are doing, and everyone has signed it, so we just need to go through this. So are there any questions?
So the one in our board packet shows that Sarah and I haven't signed yet. Do you need our signatures, Kathy?
Probably
Do you have it with you? Okay, we'll do it after the
Get it
meeting.
before.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any comments from the public? Okay, this item is on for action. Oh, this is a resolution. So we need a motion and a second.
I move that we approve resolution 1610, the certificate of signatures.
A second.
Okay, Sarah. Aye. Matt.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Carol. Aye. Julie.
Aye. That is unanimous. All right. We are now on action item C, resolution 16-13, authorizing issuance and sale of not to exceed $9 million of the district's 2016 general obligation refunding bonds and approving forms, documents, and actions of offices of the district in connection therewith.
Yes. We are asking for the approval of a resolution for the board to approve refunding 2 series of general obligation bonds that are currently outstanding in the amount of $6.7 million, which would save a potential net present value savings to the taxpayers of $889,000. We've had multiple discussion items up to this point, and now what we're doing is we're finalizing the resolution to move forward and prepare documents. The anticipated time that the bonds would be sold, it would be in June. And I am recommending approval of the resolution authorizing the 2016 general obligation bonds refunding.
Okay, and I know we have Blake in the audience.
Yes, Blake Beam is here from K&N. He is our financial consultant through K&N, and he is here if you do have any specific questions that you may ask at this point.
Any questions from the board?
I just have one comment. Julie, I just wanted to acknowledge your work, both as a board member and as board president with this item, because you've always been keeping an eye on these bonds. You've seen what other districts around us have done, and you've kept it in front of the board and then appropriately brought it to us at the right time to save the taxpayers significant money. So I just want to acknowledge your leadership.
That wasn't a question. Are there any questions from the board?
Well,
Any other-
I wanted to also comment, and I can say it in a question. I just, some of the things we do saves the district money, but this also saves all the taxpayers' money. So if there's a question, I guess it is there a percentage that anyone knows what it would save taxpayers or anything like that? I think it's important to acknowledge that we're saving the taxpayers, everyone who owns property in Orinda.
Yes, currently, with the potential savings, we won't know the exact savings until the bonds are sold, but it's approximately 10%.
Great, thank you very much.
Any other questions from the board? Can you just tell us what the total fees and costs are to do this? I know the 889,000 you're telling us is net,
Savings.
a net savings after costs. Do you know that, or?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but that's why Blake is here to help. Because I don't have that as part of the documents. This was an item that was presented previously, so hopefully we can explain that. Thank you, Blake.
Good evening. In regards to the question, at this point, most of the costs that I had shared last time have now come in and roughly are final. There's still some ancillary costs of printing the official statement and such, but we are estimating the total cost to be roughly $135,000. That would be for the consulting costs, the legal costs, our fees for getting a rating, which we met with Standard & Poor's last week. Ms. Citrini did a wonderful job representing the district. So hopefully we can sustain with our AA rating, if not improve on that, which really puts the district in that upper echelon of K-12 school districts in the state. So that's our estimated cost of issuance. The underwriter's discount is a secondary cost, which is not considered a cost of issuance, and we will not know that until we actually sell the bonds. That's the bond underwriter will purchase the bonds at a discount, and that discount will be their fee for purchasing. And
So does that impact the estimated cost savings to the taxpayers?
it will. So at the time we sell bonds, we will, moving forward with the competitive sale, which was discussed last time, we will evaluate all bidders' proposals and move forward with the lowest true interest cost to the district. Their discount or takedown will be embedded within that cost. So it will be evaluated on a net basis amongst all those who submit.
And the sale is set to go forward in June after reading?
The bonds would be issued in June. That coincides with the closing of this transaction. The actual pricing or setting of the rates and finalizing the cost will be May 26th is what we're targeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
So one follow-up question then, since you do this work for other school districts too, and following up on my previous question, is there a good time to inform the public about this is saving everyone money? In other words, our district could announce this. Do we have to wait until after June, or can we announce this after May that, every property owner will be saving money?
It's safer to wait until the transaction closes in June. At that point, the bonds will effectively be sold, and also the old bonds will be in the process of being retired, if not called already. So following that June closing date, and we are anticipating that to be June 10th, which is a Friday. So following that June 10th date, messaging can go out and is certainly encouraged to send out information in regards to what we anticipate to be a successful refunding. K&N, myself, will help draft some language, provide that to district staff, which can be communicated out to the public as a whole.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Are there any comments from the public?
Yay.
I don't know who that was.
Did you identify yourself? That was Catherine Farmer Collins, Vice President of.
Happy member of the public. Just hiding.
I'm sitting next to you.
Okay, so are there any discussion from the board? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve resolution 16-13, authorizing the issuance and sale of $9 million of the general insurance.
I'll second that.
Matt?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Carol? Aye. Julie? Aye. That is unanimous. Item C passes. And now we move on to action item D, resolution 16-11, authorizing investment of monies in the local agency investment fund.
The district, when they have large amounts of money, such as we have in developer fees and in Fund 40, can utilize the local area investment fund to receive a higher rate of interest. And currently, in order to transfer monies, as we are spending currently like in Fund 40, and moving from investments to cash, it requires an authorization. And currently, myself and the superintendent are the authorized individuals who can make those transactions occur. And both of us need to be put on this updated resolution as authorized signers. So I'm looking for a recommendation to approve the resolution, delegating the authority to the superintendent and myself to invest in LAIF and also withdrawal if necessary as we are spending. So it's a transaction that we utilize through the county treasurer's office.
My recollection is you do this every year. I'm assuming we're doing it right now because Dr. Seaton is here. When do we usually do this at the beginning of the school year? I can forget.
The authorization of who are to delegate the authority only occurs when there's a change.
When there's a change.
And I've never been given the authority, so I've just been putting this off, knowing that we were going to have a new superintendent on board. But I do know as of the closing of the school year 2015-16 that I do need to move some investment funds into cash because we are spending in our facilities area in Fund 25. So in order to do that, I would need authorization. Fund 25 and 40. Right now, Fund 40 is okay, but in 25, in developer fees, I need to move some money by the end of the year.
Any questions from the board?
Well, just a follow-up question, Teresa. So the developer fees, do they automatically go into this account?
No. I have to,
move it into.
right. So when you do have a large amount of cash, it's best to put it in the LAIF account because you actually get to pool the interest of basically the state of California and all the other agencies, the cities, other special districts and school districts, where you're able to receive a higher rate of interest. I know our interest rates aren't that great right now, but it is better than just sitting at the county treasury for a long period of time.
Any other questions? Any comments from the public? Okay, this is back to us. Is there any discussion or are we ready for a motion? I need a motion.
I will move that we adopt resolution 1611, authorizing investment of monies in the local agency investment fund and the changes to include Dr. Seaton and Teresa Seaton.
Matt?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Carolyn? Aye. Julie? Aye. Action item D is unanimous. We will now move on to action item E, resolution 16-12, to increase developer fees and public hearing.
Every even year, the state allocation board looks at our rate that the school district can charge in level 1 fees. And for the 2016 year, the developer fees were increased. But in order for us, for the district to increase our fees, we have to provide a fee justification study that provides a nexus between any growth and how it impacts our facilities, be it a brand new school if a huge development comes in, or if a single homeowner decides to add square footage on their home. These fees can be applied to getting temporary portables or doing any growth-related updates to our facilities. The current rate is $3.48, which was up from $3.36, and this is for residential. We do have a sharing agreement with the Acalanes High School District. If we were a K-12 district, we would receive the whole $3.48 per square foot, but because we're an elementary, we split it 70-30, with Orinda receiving 70% and Acalanes receiving 30%. So once the state allocation board approves this rate, we do a fee study, is both for residential and commercial. We don't have much on the commercial side, but we do receive, there's a lot of homes that are getting refurbishing and remodeling and adding square footage. We're able to, once we do the study, we have this resolution to approve the rate, we could start charging the new rate 60 days from today. So starting July 8th, whenever I receive a request, a permit for an increase in fees, or an increase in required fees for a permit, I can charge the new rate. So at this point in time, I'm just looking for approval to approve the resolution to increase our developer fees.
So I have a question. Do we, since we do that fee sharing with Acalanes, do we need to wait for them to take a similar action in order to apply the newer rates?
No.
Yes.
In fact, the only way we could get our rate is we have to do our study and we do our resolution to increase our fees. It's on Acalanes to do their request their fees. And there is the potential, and I've seen it before, where there isn't any growth, so they're not able to get the new rates. So each district is on their own to provide that nexus between to allow that increase
For their area.
And as of last month, Acalanes did do their fee justification study and the resolution, because I got a copy. Because I'll be giving them a copy of ours too.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Well, yeah, it's sort of a vague question. You didn't really address the use of developer fees, but it is in the resolution. There's a lot of whereases, and there's some language in here about how we use developer fees. So since we talked about it last month and it relates to this, I wondered if you could just comment on that. You know, it required or legal or whatever, the use of developer fees.
Yes, the developer fees collected can only be spent in relation to growth-related items within the district. It cannot be spent on routine maintenance or on deferred maintenance of any sort. It has to be growth-related. For quite some time, we were paying a lot of our fees towards the lease agreements of portables. And then last year, we purchased the portables, so those have become our portables now. But if we were ever to have to add some temporary portables, or increase a class size like we did. We added a portable at Wagner Ranch due to class configurations. We needed to add a classroom. That would be a perfect example of how the growth is impacting the district and the use of the developer fees.
Okay, thank you.
I have one specific question, but it's a math question, which I think is easily solved, but I think is worth confirming. When I first was reading this, I was struggling with whether we were collecting the maximum developer fees or not, justifying it. But because of the joint agreement with Akalani's, assuming that they increase 30%, we're maximizing developer fees, I think, because 70% of the total amount is R340.
That's correct.
244.
We will receive 70% of whatever the state accountability, the state allocation board approves. So regardless of what Akalani's gets approved for, we must go by the state allocation board rate, and we receive 70%. So it is possible that Akalani's could get less, but typically they'll just receive the 30%, unless there was special agreement of a large development coming in where we would do a special agreement with a large developer to build a school in a certain area. But
that makes sense. So we're maxing out. And is it typical for school districts to max out on developer fees, to take the maximum amount the state allows allocation?
Well, let's see here. On the level 1, unfortunately, it is a low amount. A lot of people consider this as a low amount. It really does not address all of our needs. And unless the state says we will no longer fund, then we could start charging level 3 fees, which could be the actual costs, which can be negotiated through us providing documentation. I have never, in my 20-something years, been able to utilize the level 3 fees, but at the level that the state is not funding like they used to with like a 50-50 match, and issuing bonds to help with the school districts and the facilities, that we may see a level 3 fee. But at this point, we could only claim the level 1, or like I had mentioned, if like in some areas that are growing a lot, that they work with the developer and work out an agreement that would actually fund, because the impact of their development will cause the need for a whole new school. And so you work out an agreement with the developer and a special separate agreement other than what the state allocation board has approved.
The developer can enter a separate development agreement with the jurisdiction to be above this level, because it's just an agreement with the jurisdiction.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, just to clarify, since you mentioned we haven't had a lot of commercial construction lately, I believe there is a proposal coming. If this is for building permits, so if we do have a commercial building permit requested, that's where this would apply.
Yes, there's one separate fee for commercial and one separate fee for residential, and it still applies the same process with the state allocation board approving a rate on every even number of years, so it's 2016, and both rates are where we would be able to levy the 70%. So in this case, the 56 cents for commercial, 70% of that is the $3, that'd be nice, 39 cents, 39.2 cents. It's been a year since I've been here and I haven't seen a commercial fee yet, but we have a little steady stream of residential improvements.
Teresa, I noticed in the executive summary that ABAG is estimating for the next 20 years that we're going to add almost 7,000 new individual residential units.
they take
Is
and
that
consider, well, the analysis that they use, yes, they actually extrapolate, you know, as far as they can. But as you and I know, to be able to grow that many in Orinda is kind of far and few between. But
Are there any other? Are there any comments from the public?
Yes.
OEA President Charles Shannon. I just want to say my understanding of this is we have these developer fees because there is an impact to our schools, and that the money will follow those schools that are going to be impacted by potential increases. If there is a reconstruction, as you were talking about, or a new building, then that money should follow the students that are going to go to a particular school. That's my understanding. In fact, I was seeing here it said the district is required to provide adequate school facilities to accommodate those students. That was in the resolution. And I also said the purpose of the statutory development fees is to provide adequate school facilities for students of the district will be generated by the new residential or commercial or industrial development in the district. And it's all based on a master plan, a master facilities plan. So I look forward to keeping track of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? Back to the board for discussion.
The only thing I wanted to add was that shows a 3.5% increase. And both residential and commercial, it's consistent at 3.5%. And costs in general are rising at 3.5% or above for most items. So I'm really comfortable.
So I just wanted to also make a comment that in light of what Charles said and the issue of student enrollment growth, that's where it can get sticky, and we should just be conscious about having more growth at one or another school and have to redirect students, that we should be conscious of that in our development and using our developer fees appropriately.
And Julie, it's my understanding that's what we are doing. You know, if we've got a demographic study that shows we're going to have extra kids at Glorieta next year, we're putting in a larger classroom. So, intuitive.
Yes. Agreed. Okay, this item's on for action.
I move that we approve Resolution 1612 to increase developer fees and public hearing. Public hearing.
Oh my goodness.
Public hearing.
I'm sorry, that wasn't public comment. I'm going to open up a public hearing. Sorry. Sorry, it's okay. Okay, this is a public hearing. Charles, we did hear your comment. I don't know if you want to speak again. Is there any other comment during the public hearing?
So to make it official on record, would I have to state it again? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Need developers.
Certainly acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments during the public hearing? Sorry, thank you, Matt, for catching that. Public hearing. Go back to the board for action.
I move that we approve Resolution 1612 to increase developer fees.
I second that.
Jason.
Aye.
Carol. Aye. Sarah.
Aye.
Aye.
Julie.
Aye. Resolution 16-12 is unanimous. This time we will move on to action item F, Next Generation Science Instructional Materials Adoption.
Thank you. So tonight we are going to be talking a little bit about the Next Generation Science Standards with a recommendation to approve adoption of instructional materials for us to implement these standards. And in our current local control accountability plan, we have an entire goal for science under student achievement. And under that goal, we have two actions. And the actions are to update the current FOSS program in K-3 and to research and plan for adoption in grades 4 through 8. So prior to, and right now, we do have a split adoption across the board in our district. We have a FOSS, which is the full option science system program in our primary grades. In our upper grades, we have another adoption, and then in our middle school, we have another adoption. So our goal is to try to look for consistency and to unify our instruction with the new standards. So for the past year and a half, we've been really looking at the standards specifically and then how we could best support that. And here on this list is the teachers across the district who have been reviewing and piloting the next generation FOSS is what it is called. And you will see we actually have 12 teachers. We have 2 at OIS who have, at the 6th grade level, who have been using FOSS this year. In addition, we have a science articulation team. They have held 4 meetings this year. And if you see teachers' names in bold, those are the teachers who have been piloting and reviewing who are also on this team. And this team has really been evaluating the next generation science standards as well as the inquiry-based models that might be available. And they've been really inquiring, and the pilot teachers have been bringing back their feedback through the process. In addition to our articulation team, we have our amazing Orinda Bayside teacher leadership, who has participated since 2012 in academies to really wrap their arms around the next generation science standards. And this is broken up by school. And again, the teachers that are outlined in bold have really taken on the pilot and review of the specific programs. These teachers have also led workshops in components of the next generation science standards, science notebooking, discourse, whether they're in bold or not. They have all participated in spreading the word and introducing components to their colleagues at their school sites. And then finally, we have a district leadership team. And this is a team that has worked with other districts in the area and with our Bayside partnership at University of California, Berkeley. And so we have been learning and been on the cutting edge to gain information as to what's to come with next generation science standards. Most recently, we had a session last week where we heard from the one of the advisors for the new assessments that are going to be in place most likely in 2018-19 for science. And that was John Osborne from Stanford University, also a professor. The science articulation team developed this brightly colored science vision for our district. It was developed and rolled out last year. The reason for the colors is that there is particular definitions and defining behind each of the components in the vision. It is on our website, and we are continually referring back to this to make sure that we're moving in this direction. And then we have our CASP science results. And our CASP science results are really not yet aligned to next generation science standards, but we have been consistently, as we've been implementing components, been informed by our Lawrence Hall of Science professional developers that if we are implementing components of next generation science, we would see it in our science results. And as you can see, these scores don't just happen by knowing how to study and take tests. When I look at these scores, I really see that it requires inquisitive and inquiring thinking among our students. And I would hope that it shows that our students are engaged and that they're connected and they're excited about the world of science being presented to them by their teachers. So it's something to be proud of. We are engaged in science testing this week, actually, for 5th and 8th grade. So let me talk to you a little bit about next generation science standards. They were adopted in September 2013 by the State Board. And what's different about them is there's 3 dimensions, or 3D, We call it Disciplinary Core Ideas, Cross-Cutting Concepts, and the Science and Engineering Practices. Our teachers all were provided with a mini staff development by their colleagues. It's a link in here. I'm not going to click on it now, but I am going to provide this to you electronically so you can see what our teachers were providing to their colleagues at their school site. But I can tell you that the core ideas are what students should know. The cross-cutting is how students think, and the practices are what students do. And just to expand on that, there are 8 science and engineering practices. And these are the practices that every student, no matter what grade they're in, will be engaging in the process of studying and learning about science. And so this is embedded into our work. Then there are the cross-cutting concepts as well, and you'll see that there are 7 of these, and these are what students notice and how they're interconnected across the disciplinary core ideas. It's all new terminology. But what I can tell you about the disciplinary core ideas is this is the actual content that students are learning at their grade level. And it is divided up into 4 domains. There's the life sciences, which you're familiar with. There are the physical sciences. Then there are 2 new domains, the earth and space science and the engineering and technology aspect of it. So by grade level, every student will be on a learning progression in these 4 domains. And then the next generation science practices are also connected to math and English language arts. And so you'll see in the middle of the Venn diagram that this is where there is overlap for the full integration. And then as you can see, some of our teachers are really constructing that integration with English language arts and with mathematics. This is how engineers think. So when we are looking and studying at what programs are going to support us, it has become very important to our teachers that they have the resources to implement the components of next generation science. And the full option science system, also called FOSS, it's really more than a program. It's a philosophy. It's research-based. It is for a curriculum for grades K through 8, and it is developed by the Lawrence Hall of Science. It's also uniquely different because it's an ongoing research project. It's supported by the National Science Foundation, and then for formative assessment, there are 2 other organizations. There's an organization called ASK, which is Assessing Science Knowledge, and the FAST Project, Formative Assessment Through Technology. So all of these larger organizations which blend and work with actual scientists combined with educators are continually looking how best to have active learning in science in an inquiry-based program. So the program materials come in big boxes. They are on display upstairs, and they're full of supplies for kids to really get their hands into it and to provide a meaningful experience for them. And there's also technological components that go with the next generation program that we haven't had in the past. So the scope and sequence for K-5 follows this continuum. The items, again in bold for physical, earth, or life science, are the kits or the modules that we have been piloting and reviewing. The program has developed gradually, and so not all have been available until now for us. And then at the middle school level, you will see that there are some bold. Those are the ones that we have been piloting and reviewing. And then there are some that are still not yet available. They're still in process of being developed. So for grades 7 and 8, and actually for our middle school as a whole, because these kits and these areas of study can cross-grade, we will be using next year to evaluate not only FOSS but other programs to make sure that we are getting the best program for those grades. But right now we're focusing on K through 6. if this would work. This is a little movie of our kids in action with science, but it's not working, so I'm going to continue on, but I'll make it available to you. This is from a classroom at Wagner Ranch School in Elisa Brucker, and it actually will show you the key points of what we're hitting in science. If I could get it to work, you would love it. But here are some comments from our teachers, essentially that it has really helped for them to, they've learned using FOSS to integrate the next generation science standards with notebooking. Patricia Newhart says that the alignment is ever present with the Common Core standards and mathematical practices, and the hands-on nature of the investigations are something her students are responding to. In second grade, they're utilizing focus questions prior to their investigations. They're using the journals to write down what they're observing. We have then, as we move up third grade, there's increased student engagement that we're noticing, and there's a grasp of engineering principles that has also increased as kids are creating models to test and prove their thinking. And then some teachers are finding that they're becoming better teachers. They themselves are discovering science concepts and are really seeing that it is more of a student-led process. Our professional development this year has touched on all levels. We have done introductions to FOSS. For those that are just learning about it, we have immersed ourselves for those that have been reviewing it. We had a parent education night on next generation science standards in February, and we are continuing to move forward with our Bayside teachers who will be working in June to really take it to the next level and then to help support and train teachers next year. So our professional development for next year will start with an initial kit. Once approved, we will be purchasing kits for each grade level and investigation guides, which are also called teacher editions for each teacher, so they can start to explore together. And we will continue with our science articulation team, grade level specific trainings, and we will also pursue trainings with the online activities. We do hope as we proceed that we can start to educate our parents as well as our staff about the next generation science assessments as they become available to us. They will be performance-based and look very different than the current tests that we have now. So we're doing everything to get our kids used to explaining their thinking and to analyzing their observations. So across the district, we've had teachers engaged and learning themselves, actually trying and applying what they are doing with their students. And we have no idea how much science owes the imagination. So I'm available to answer any questions, but staff's recommendation is that we approve the FOSS science program by Delta Education for grades K through 6.
Very informative. Thank you very much. Are there questions from the board?
Yes, I have a couple of areas of questions, Kathy, and I did read this, but I didn't realize I had this question until hearing your presentation. So I've known about FOSS for a long time. We've used FOSS for a long time. It's more recently that the state adopted the next generation science standards, and more recently that the district is doing Bayside. So I guess I'm all for adopting this FOSS work. You know, it looks great. I hear that there's support. I'm all for it, but I'm just a little bit confused about the relationship. If you could clarify that. Do you understand what I'm asking? Is FOSS related to Bayside?
Is FOSS kind of changed by next generation?
Yeah, I understand there's teachers that have been going to Bayside training.
I know you're saying that FOSS has been around for a while, we've been using it. Are you asking whether it's changed over time in light of the next generation science standards,
Well, no, no. Well, I assume that next generation's related to FOSS, but I'm not entirely sure. But I know that we've been sending people to Bayside training, and I'm not sure if that's also training people how to use the FOSS materials. We had the boxes, and I saw them upstairs, FOSS materials boxes for a long time. So I probably get the gist of my question at this point.
Well, the training has been heavily focused on the inquiry-based model and how to use the concepts from next generation science standards and how to actually teach those concepts. And so the FOSS materials have been used during these trainings, but that hasn't been the only and the sole component of Bayside. It has been a tool, but there's many other tools that are used for the instructional piece, mostly to help our teachers understand the concepts behind the science.
Right, behind them. Yeah, and I have to say, I did go to the OAS presentation, Parent Ed, on, I think that was on Bayside. The Parent Ed presentation, it was on next generation science, and they talked about Bayside. I don't think they talked as much about the FOSS, but it looks like, I mean, for this, we would be adopting FOSS through 6th grade and not through 8th grade. So I assume what you just said is Bayside is more, includes 7th and 8th grade and includes more than just FOSS, so that's great. So my next question is, how are we, if we adopt this and it looks great, it looks like this is for the materials, how are all the teachers, does it include some sort of training or what for K through 6 teachers, other than those who've already gone to Bayside training about using the FOSS materials for teaching science?
Yes, it does. Whenever we purchase a certain amount of materials from a publisher or from an organization, there is training that comes with it, and we've had some training this year as well, and that will continue. I would like to just say the Bayside partnership is professional development only, professional development for science. There's no other connection that we have. So if I could separate it, the FOSS and the materials, the Bayside, we're one of the lucky 7 districts in the Bay Area to be able to have professional development offered to us.
Great, so in terms of the training for all teachers about the FOSS materials, you said it is included. Is that something that they go to professional development for one of the days, or is that something that they can look at online, or what kind of professional development is that?
We have trainers from here, and that's what we've been doing. There's also an online component, but in addition to that, we have teachers who are eager to share and want to also, just work with their colleagues as well. So it will be a balance.
Great. The Bayside teachers, the teachers who are trained in Bayside, is that what you mean? They would
Yes, and
eager
the
to
teachers
share.
who have been doing the pilot in the review.
Aha, okay, great. Thank you.
Kathy, I just wanted to say that this was such an impressive presentation. It made science sound very exciting. And the fact that the teachers feel like they always have, I got the impression they have a renewed excitement about teaching science. So I'm happy for the kids. Thank you for the presentations.
I'd like to agree with that, and also I think it's such a great opportunity to be really moving deeper into science and innovating, and it's a very exciting time. My own question has to do, I know the high school district has been going through a lot of discussion right now about revamping sort of their structuring of their science program. Do we work, maybe this is more on the 7-8 side, which some of this focus is really K-6 right now, but are we looking at working with them, or is it separate enough that we don't have, I've heard that they're sort of embedding earth science and possibly embedding earth science into like a biology class or something like that instead of having it as a separate class. And I just didn't know if we, you know, articulate with them in that way.
We have been articulating with them. In fact, Julie Parks, the principal at Miramar, joined us at our last district leadership team meeting, so where we learned about the assessments. And so we, Michael Randall and Stacy Wayne were also there, as well as the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science teachers. So there's been quite a bit of articulation just to see what that continuum is. It's a shift, and I think Miramani is coming up with a very good plan for how they are going to move and embed the new disciplinary core ideas at this time, but it's still a process. And until we actually have the assessments available to us and see where they are going, that will really, I think, help to drive how much they will do.
Thank you. Any other questions?
You know, it comment is my comment more than question, encouragement. Great presentation as well. And I think one thing we should emphasize that you have emphasized in this presentation is engineering. We're entering a new age of engineering, and on the college and advanced levels is such exciting reinvention going on in the way engineering works, and that this is starting now, I think is embedded in this program, I think is really important to emphasize, so that people understand that there's a sort of whole new emphasis on engineering and science, and not just science, but engineering as a part of the thinking process.
I'll add to that, Jason. The numbers might be a little bit wrong, but this year the United States will graduate 85,000 engineers. China will graduate 550,000.
And it starts with the young grades. We should be starting with the young grades.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board? Is there any comments from the public?
Charles Shannon speaking as an individual. I'm in the Bayside Masters groups. I've been with them for 3 years. I want to say that the power of this group is I've been with the same consistent cohort that's across the Bay Area, as far up as Sonoma, as far down as San Jose. And I will say that it's not enough just to have the occasional training. What has mattered for me is the consistency of meeting with this group. It's not every month, it's about every other month. And committing to a project. This year we were committed to creating models. I took on engineering models. We built rubber band racers, we built bridges, we built towers. And in these investigations, kids talk with one another because they'll be working with teams in the future, planning, sketching, building, testing it out, collecting that data, and then reassessing and rebuilding. I can say that I also had optional homework assignments where kids could continue with these challenging investigations, and those that came in and brought them in, we tested them out, and others then were influenced. They were like, oh, that's really cool, I want to do that too. And I think my parents this year finally see science coming alive, and it's including engineering. And it really, the joy of learning has been in building the models and for kids to get in there and understand it by, the tactile, like really, gosh, this didn't work, this is hard, how do I do it? And then figuring it out and being proud of themselves, and they sustain this sense of resilience, like they can do it. But when they're just reading about it and trying to understand a world, by just reading about it, it's just not going to translate. And I know that there's people in the audience tonight, there's people throughout our district that keep saying, we can't just have our kids read about it and take a test. And that's really come alive for me with the Bayside Champions. And I just want to say thank you, Kathy, for getting us connected with Bayside. I've always been the kind of teacher that has, done things through the building of models. But it does take time, and it takes money, and it takes planning time. For our district to do it, teachers are going to need to be able to get together and observe one another and talk about what worked, what didn't work. And so I look forward to seeing even more support, Kathy, financial support, and time for meeting together with colleagues in cohorts. So I'd like to see the development of district teacher cohorts of people who are interested, and I think that's going to encourage others, but start with those that have that interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? Back to the board.
Just one other comment I wanted to make, and I see at the end of your presentation you did have a list of dates, and remembering, you know, that this is the hands-on science that we were just talking about, and that reminds me of the science fair I recently saw at Glorietta, and I'm wondering if we could make an effort to also communicate to the parents, whatever way is appropriate about, you know, adopting this, or, you know, because the parents have been asking for more science, and this is an easy way if we make sure we tell them what we're doing here. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything on for action?
I move we adopt action item F, the next generation science instructional materials for K-6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous on action item F. We now move on to action item G, parcel tax independent citizens oversight committee bylaws.
The Parcel Tax Independent Citizens Oversight Committee was established in December 2011, and when the bylaws were adopted, and since then the Board of Trustees has amended the bylaws to adjust to a staggered term of office for the 5 committee members. The primary objective of the committee is to ensure that the parcel tax proceeds are spent for their authorized purchase and to report annually. At this point, we have a full committee on our board. The Parcel Tax Committee Oversight Committee is, the 5 members have been assigned, and the Board of Trustees has requested to review the bylaws. So this item is on for action if there are any changes to the bylaws. Our next meeting for the Parcel Tax Independent Citizens Oversight Committee is in June. So this is perfect timing to be able to review the bylaws if there are any changes, and we can incorporate them at our next meeting in June.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So, as I remember our last discussion of this, when we did approve some new members to the Parcel Tax Oversight Committee, and we approved some of them to replace the previous 2-year position. Looking at the bylaws, it only mentions under term of office 4 years, and it doesn't say anything about staggered. So that was the reason we were going to revisit this. I didn't come with a recommendation, but what I'm looking at is page 327 under section 6, 327 in the board packet, under terms of office. Each member of the committee shall hold office for 2 years. We could amend it to add 4 staggered
I have
terms.
some proposed language.
Do you have language? Okay, go ahead. I thought I should say something because I was on the committee. Go ahead.
So I think on section 6, in terms of office, I thought we could do a semicolon and then staggered terms as part of the heading. And then say, committee member, here's my proposed language, and it's open for discussion, comment, questions, changes. But this is, I've looked at some other bylaws that had staggered terms and kind of tried to create something out of that. Committee members shall be divided into 2 groups, parentheses, 1 group of 2 members and 1 group of 3 members, and parentheses, thereby creating staggered terms, period. Each member of the committee shall hold office for 4 years. That's the first sentence. So we're adding a sentence before that. then say each committee member, comma, including the committee member selected to fill a vacancy, comma, shall serve until the expiration of the term for which he or she was selected, or until that committee member's resignation. Shall serve until the expiration of the term for which he I said, at the discretion of the Board of Trustees, a committee member may serve more than one term. So I would put that in there as well, since we do have people that are serving, have served more than one term. Okay, so should I restate that? And then add that last sentence, given this Board of Trustees shall be notified of any vacancy and shall have the sole power. So we would keep the language in there, but add in a sentence creating the staggered terms, dividing them into two groups. And they are currently serving, they're currently divided into their two groups. So we're just sort of stating what is formalizing. So each committee member, including the committee member selected to fill a vacancy, shall serve until the expiration of the term for which he or she was selected, or until that committee member's resignation. And then the idea is that if we're selecting somebody to finish out that term, like we did, they would be finishing out that term, thereby keeping the staff. Okay, so
I have a question. You said they're in two groups. I'm not aware that they're in two groups. I'm not sure what you mean.
two groups, so that they're already in a staggered term.
They're already in a staggered term.
Right. So they're all serving 4 years, but 2 of them will expire in 2018, and 3 will expire in 2020.
Yeah, I just thought all we would have to do is say for staggered terms. I mean, I don't know that, I don't know, just found the wording of two groups as confusing. So, I mean, I was thinking we just say each member of the committee shall hold office for 4 years with staggered terms. And yes, it needs more explanation, so the rest of what you said made sense, but.
This is my opening salvo, so I'm totally open. Like I said, I just went through some various bylaws that had staggered terms, tried to create some language that kind of fit our circumstance and was as simple as possible.
So listening to it, what was confusing to me was calling it two groups. Maybe you should read it back to me again, because.
Okay. Committee members shall be divided into 2 groups, 1 group of 2 members and 1 group of 3 members, thereby creating staggered terms. Each member of the committee shall hold office for 4 years. Each committee member, including the committee member selected to fill a vacancy, shall serve until the expiration of the term for which he or she was selected, or until that committee member's resignation. At the discretion of the Board of Trustees, a committee member may serve more than 1 term.
Okay, so
And
that
then
first,
have the last sentence.
so that first sentence of a group of 2 and a group of 3, which shall be staggered terms. And it seems like it needs to be all in that same sentence, otherwise.
It is. Committee members shall be divided into 2 groups, 1 group of 2 members and 1 group of 3 members, thereby creating staggered terms.
Okay. So that is all
Saying
saying.
differently.
Thereby creating staggered terms, and you're leaving the sentence in there about 4 years? Or
They're all 4-year terms, that's not changing.
4-year staggered.
If they resign, whoever replaces them, they sit out their terms. Whether that's 6 months left or 3 years and 11 months left, right? We'll finish out that term. So that way we don't have to worry about recreating a stagger. It's automatically embedded in the group. And that the board
with one suggestion. I think you could take out the clause about or until their vacancy. Only because we have a whole section on vacancies. Vacancies can happen on resignation, relocation. No, I guess you used the term vacancy, right? What did you say? Did you say resignation or vacancy?
Resignation, I believe. I said, well, I said each committee member, I said resignation.
I think it should be vacancy, and then you would refer to 13 for the three things that create
Right,
vacancy. Yeah, because otherwise there could be this little ambiguity of someone moving out. We would just do it. But.
So vacancy being a broader term.
Yeah.
To include resignation being one type of.
Yeah, because if you leave the district, you are automatically vacated.
So are you just saying that last or until that committee member's resignation?
I would say, I thought you had said resignation.
Here's what I said.
Yeah.
Each committee member,
Yeah.
including a committee member selected to fill a vacancy, shall serve until the expiration of the term for which he or she was selected, or until that committee member's resignation. What if we just get rid of that?
Get rid of that. I would get rid of the second one, because
We
vacancy
still
says it all.
want to say that they're filling the term.
Exactly.
So that's not redundant with this section 13.
Exactly. And then
Okay, so let's
13
get rid
describes
of
what a
that.
vacancy is. Yeah.
I don't know, I thought that we made it clear though. I didn't mind it. Because,
But maybe what Jason's saying is that it's not necessary because we already are accounting for somebody resigning mid-term in section 13.
but the way you stated it, Julie, you said, and they'll fill that term even if there's a vacancy. So it makes it really clear
Well,
if
no,
somebody.
we're keeping that, we're just not saying that they'll fill out that term. We're saying they'll fill out that term, and we're not saying or until they resign. Because if they resign, they would be under section 13.
So they'll fill out that term, but obviously if someone resigns, then whoever is replacing that position finishes that term.
Right. So it's
But it
basically
seemed like it's more
unnecessary,
clear
maybe.
when you-
Think so?
I thought it was more clear the way you said it.
The only problem is if you say resignation, then you're leaving out relocation out of the district or excessive.
Right.
Well, maybe you should change the word to vacancy instead of resident, or instead, until there is a vacancy.
But
instead
I'm kind of
until
agreeing with
resign.
Jason that that whole clause is really taken care of in section 13, and all we need to do here in this section is say that they're filling that particular term. So whether it's a term that's almost up or a term that's going on for 3 more years, they're filling whoever shoes are left, that's who they're filling. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all we need to do in this section. And
Right.
that maintains our status.
So if you take out the phrase,
I think
maybe you
we
should
will.
read the sentence again and let's see.
Okay. Committee members shall be divided into 2 groups, 1 group of 2 members and 1 group of 3 members, thereby creating staggered terms. Each member of the committee shall hold office for 4 years. Each committee member, including a committee member selected to fill a vacancy, shall serve until the expiration of the terms for which he or she was selected. At the discretion of the Board of Trustees, a committee member may serve more than 1 term. And then the last sentence, the OUSD Board of Trustees shall be notified of any vacancy and shall have the sole power to fill all vacancies.
Why don't we do this? Why don't you write that, submit it to Teresa, and then that way we have it in front of us.
Well, I guess we were trying, since they're trying to meet in June, we're trying to get this done.
Okay.
So it's
Well,
not
I-
perfect. And quite frankly, you know, we could approve this, and then if somebody has a big problem with it, we could always bring it back for, you know.
Let's do that.
So which way are we going? I don't mind. Jason, you think it's?
Yeah, no, I think, I like the
She just read
change.
it? Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't mind that.
And if we sit on it, we're like, oh, that's not clear, so
We can always
modify
revisit it
at least
another
it gives
time.
them something
Yeah.
that creates a staggered term.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending it up.
I did this a couple months ago, and how long has it been on our agenda? Are there any comments from the public? No. Back to the board, is there any discussion, or are we ready to move forward?
I move we adopt action item G as written by Julie.
And amended.
Yeah.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Type something up a little neater than what I scribble. Okay, on to action item H. Contract with SMH Construction for Delray Roofing Project and State Inc. for Sleepy Hollow.
I'm here this evening to request board approval of two contracts. One with SNH Construction for the Delray Roofing Project, and another contract with State Inc. for the Sleepy Hollow Roofing Project. As you do recall, the board approved Fund 40 roof replacement projects at the two schools. The plans were submitted to the Division of the State Architect last year, and we had approved applications. And then the plans were revised this year by our architect of record, HY Architect, to exclude windows at the multi-purpose room at Delray, and to include the multi-purpose roof, which was also badly in need of repair, but had not been a part of the original contract. We also took the advice of the board that we improve the insulation on those roofs, and that was included in the revised plan. So we want to make the envelope a little more energy efficient. So that's a good addition. We had three roofing contractors that have participated in our site walk. I want to point out at this time there are a lot of roofing projects going on throughout the state, and it's really difficult to get contractors to bid. We invited directly another 5 contractors, and they said, we're too busy, we can't come to the site walk, it's just, we've got our hands full. So we were pretty hard pressed to find additional qualified roofing contractors. I understand last year they got 0 roofing contractors to bid, and even though we started our process relatively early, it's just very difficult. So we had 2 qualified contractors who did submit bids. One was State Roofing, doing business as State Inc. And they were the low apparent bidder for the project at Sleepy Hollow for $270,181. And the contract at Delray was awarded or recommended for award to SNH Construction with their bid of $613,600. In both cases, our specifications included $5,000 for dry rot allowance, bringing the bid for SNH at Delray to $618,600, and for State Inc. $275,181. We are recommending approval of both contracts by the board to these 2 contractors.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Thank you for that information, Stuart. Just to refresh my memory, I assume you're going to try to get this done this summer?
That is correct.
Great. And both of those schools do not have any summer activities, summer school going on, right?
Correct.
And they stated that they could get all the, I just know these are big projects, especially the one at Delray. They can get it done over the summer?
I'm confident they can.
Great. Any other questions?
comments from the public? Back to the board.
I move that we approve contracts with S&H Construction for Delray Roofing Project and State Inc. for Sleepy Hollow Roofing Project.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Now move on to, action item I, contract with Motor Modular for Gloria the Portable.
In some ways, this contract is a solution that's addresses a problem from the other end. I don't know how to say that, but we're tail wagging the dog, or one of those kinds of issues. We have a problem of enrollment increase at Glorietta, which has been brought to our attention. There was some back and forth about the extent to which that increased enrollment was going to manifest itself, but it became clear in the end that we were going to have increased enrollment in kindergarten, and we needed to address this problem. I know the board, and at the last meeting, we talked about what ways we can address the problem. Staff looked at the one option, which would be to replace building number 4, which houses kindergarten, completely with a double-wide relocatable portable. When we crane it in and drop it in where number 4 is, we measured it and it would fit. That was one option, but cost of that is about $280,000 when we consider the cost of the unit, all the soft costs, the demolition of the existing number 4, and we would commit ourselves to that as another relocatable. The other option would be for us to wait for what we call the 21st century modular buildings. We're looking at the Gen 7 modular as one option for the board to consider. The benefit of that is that the modular buildings are much longer term. They're more a permanent building. They have a foundation. They're built to last 40 or 50 or 60 years, whereas the portable buildings are theoretically supposed to last 15 years, and they have been, as you well know, we've got some of these buildings from the 1960s, long past their supposed life, and it's not really a good practice to put a 15-year building and leave it there for 50 or 60 years, but that happens all over California. So it gives the board an opportunity to carefully review what the board has called its vision for the future. How do we address buildings that can be a part of the 21st century in terms of being learning spaces, clean, bright, and accommodate Common Core and some of the other things that are being innovated in education. And we don't sort of tie our hands with the same old box that's the portable. And we can integrate that into any other long-term plan that we develop. So staff is recommending the final option, which is to place a temporary building for 1 year out on the grassy area near the music room behind the upper play area. That would then give all this time to fully evaluate the other options like the Gen 7. It's my hope that over the course of the next year the board will have an opportunity to look at the Gen 7 modular building in Dublin, where they're going to be putting it up, model this year. I would look forward to inviting the board to go to the plant that makes those units in Manteca, but it depends on what your willing and able to do. So in the short term, I think we're best served by putting a temporary portable unit at Glorietta. It would cost us about $6,000 to place it, about $4,000 to take it away. There are some associated costs for electrical and fire alarm, and I'll be coming back to the board with those smaller proposals. But all in all, it's a not very expensive fix for the short term, and gives all of us a chance. I mean, it addresses the short-term problem we have using developer fees. And then we can incorporate any 21st century modulars as a realistic way to move ahead. So I'm recommending that the board approve this contract with Mobile Modular Management Corporation for a temporary portable. It amounts to a lease agreement of about $10,500 with a $535 a month lease fee, in addition to the placement and the removal costs. So it just seems a much more affordable way to solve this problem, and it gives us time to more adequately address the growth issue at Glorietta.
Thank you. So I was one of the people who said, hey, wouldn't it be great to wait and not put in the double classroom and look at the 21st century modular there. But to play devil's advocate a little bit, if enrollment growth at that school is going to be ongoing, then having, renting a portable for a year might turn into, the benefit of the double wide portable or modular, I don't know what you want to call it, was that it would create 2 classrooms. So this is a way to temporarily create a classroom, but if we have an ongoing need the following year for the same size, putting in the Gen 7 wouldn't give us that. So, but I'd hate to see something, becoming, oh, there's another portable there that we're leasing for long term. So I don't know, maybe, Dr. Seaton, if you have any, are we seeing this as being sort of a one-year problem based on this enrollment?
I can respond to that. And you were correct about the double wide, I think, in our opinion. But it also gives us time to add more than, we're thinking about next year also replacing classrooms 8 and 9 that also were 1960s vintage, and we could add even a third one. So we have the ability to evaluate between now and next year whether we're going to put in 3, meaning 2 classrooms for kindergarten, or instead of 2 modulars, 2 Gen 7 modulars for kindergarten, plus 2 more for to replace 7 and 8. We could put yet another one that's a Gen 7, and it would, I think, be a reasonable approach, but we have a chance to evaluate just how to extend that growth.
I do agree that it's a very cost-effective way to give us the space we need in the short term. I just don't want to see that portable being rented
for another 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be having this conversation for 40 years. I won't be, but I want to leave that as a legacy for another memory. That's my portable.
Well, point well taken. And what we can, the board can determine we're going to have a 1-year lease, at which time we can evaluate whether to keep the thing.
And Mr. House, when will Dublin have those Gen 7 modulars available to visit?
They'll be putting them in this summer, so I expect by August we'd have a chance to see them.
Just as Charles, I think earlier was talking about, in science, it's so much better for the kids to do and see it instead of just reading about it. I would say it's the same for this portable, that for us to be able to really take a team and go visit and see it in action and talk to their educators, talk to their administrators, talk to their parents and see what they like about it, and that would help inform our decision.
I would urge everyone to Google GEN7 modulars. They're made by American Modular System. And just, they have a video with some testimonials by board members, principals, teachers, students about how they like them. And then also, this particular product has been endorsed by our state superintendent of education, Tom Torlakson, so he's excited about them too. So it's another endorsement from the state.
I think Kathy Marshall sent us those links.
Stuart, I have a question. If we were to do option 1, which would get oriented 2 additional classrooms this coming school year, is that correct?
The timeline is now very tight. It could happen, but it would be very, very tight to make this happen. I could make it happen if the board wanted that. But again, you'd be locking, I would think you'd be locking yourself into that as a remedy when you could have a remedy which involves 21st century buildings. I mean, you could say, okay, we want to put double wide in there, portable, you know, or solve our problem that way, but you'd be...
The reason I'm asking is because, you know, we've been hearing from the parents that they want to take classroom. We had two classroom, double wide, then replacing building 4, allow them to have a TK class in addition to an additional, or no, it wouldn't. So I think I'm answering my own question.
You're right, you're answering your own question because we're expanding to accommodate one more room. Now this new portable, I want to clarify, I asked the principal, how are you going to organize the children, you know? And he said they will be displacing, you know, the kids in the temporary portable will not be kindergarten kids. They will be upper grades, first, second, third, something. He wasn't sure which grade, but they would be displacing kids because in a kindergarten you need bathrooms, you need, you know, the plumbing, the water, and this will not have that. One of the reasons we can move it in quickly is that we're not going to invest in digging up the ground to put in plumbing lines and sewage lines, so, you know, water lines. It's just going to have fire and electrical. And we'll use a boring system to drill underground so we won't disturb too much of the playground.
I have one quick question, and it's the same spirit as Julie's. I was a board member who likes the idea of us preparing the way for a 21st century classroom. But as devil's advocate, I do want to understand the grassy area. Is there a loss? Obviously, we're losing some space, and the school already feels it's in a tight space.
The
What are we
layout,
losing there?
good question. The layout that we recommend is we're going to actually tear down a backstop that's there and put it behind the music portable such that you can enter from the blacktop up a ramp, but it would be behind it, so they're not really losing very much space, and they still have a nice broad grassy area, and won't really encumber that blacktop play area. So it's the least intrusive into that playground space and grassy area. And it's again for 1 year, and then we take it out and then we store it. We're not putting in asphalt. We would propose to put in a gravel, which we could then remove and replace, put the grass back and the backstop back, if it's so desired.
That sounds great, Stuart, but could you just clarify, because I didn't entirely follow you, so the new portable wouldn't be in line with the music portable? Were you saying it would be further back toward the pillar?
No, it would be right behind it.
Right behind it?
Immediately behind it.
So you're going to move the backstop somewhere else?
We have there's on that face there is a HVAC unit, so we would have just about that much space, which would be maybe 3 or 4 feet away from it, and it would be pushed back toward the hill such that maybe the first 4 or 5 feet, which would allow for the ramp to go up and enter from the side, like at the side of the musical. I don't know if that's clear. So it take.
Yeah, I agree with Jason, if we can try to minimize, you know, taking up as much grass space, you know, that would be great. I was just thinking push it back toward the hill if you could.
Well, it will be toward the hill, but not totally. There'll be some space between the hill and that side of it.
Yeah, okay. And I just, unless you were.
No, that's all.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Gen 7 ones are not available this summer.
They're not available. They're all taken. The production is maxed out.
Just want to state I'm all in favor of those, and I would, you know, wish we could get those in, but at the same time, in this case, I don't think we should wait a year. And well, anyway, then the other thing I wanted to state was the double wide number 4. So you know, we have 3 old portables, 'cause from looking at our previous list, they're all about the same age, number 4, number 8, and 9. They all need to be replaced. Number 4 could, it sounded like from what you said before, number 4 could be replaced with a double wide, hopefully. So that would be the thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, the following year. And instead of spending the $450,000 for the relocatable, I hope we can find a 21st century modular unit that could fit there as a double wide. And then one other thing I just wanted to clarify, when you were talking about the temporary portable, you mentioned the fire hydrant. But I don't think it's just for that portable, we have to get a fire hydrant anyway.
That is correct.
That's the next item on the agenda.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't just for the portable, it was for any of these options that we're looking at.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any comments from the public?
A few of the Glorietta Parent Club, well, Charles Shannon, I'm speaking as a teacher of Glorietta this time. I have spoken with quite a few Glorietta leadership, parent leadership, and with some teachers. And one of the things I want to point out is, if you put the portable right behind the music portable, I don't know if you've been out there when they're playing band instruments, or even when they're singing, it's extremely loud. And we know from the current portables that we have, the walls are very thin and not well insulated. I, for one, would not want to be behind the music portable or beside it because of the noise. And I think that's going to be a problem with any teacher that's asked to teach in that portable. I think that had I been asked, or had teachers been asked, we weren't a part of it, and the parent leadership that I've talked to said that they weren't a part of any discussion in taking a look at a temporary solution of putting a portable behind the music portable. We would have brought that up. Nobody wants to be right next to the music portable, and that's why it's out there towards the field. It's very loud. Thank you.
I can follow up. The architect of record and the principal and I walked that site early in this year because our first report was we're going to need more space. So we walked around and we looked at the feasibility of placing another building there because we thought we would need to put a portable somewhere. And every location had its problems. So we don't have choices. You would think we'd have choices. We don't really have choices. We thought about putting it down near the science room. There's not enough room because it interferes with the emergency vehicle access. Put it along the bank. You know, there's some issues that have to do with the slope of the bank, and we'd have to build a retaining wall to hold the portable. Other spaces that we entertained were just not feasible at all. It's the only place left, short of putting it in the middle of the grassy area, where we thought it would be. The principal was opposed to that because he felt it would deprive them of that open space for the kids to play in. That was It's the only place that was left. So it was a matter of default as to where to put it. And again, it's a temporary fix, and it's not perfect, but that was our only real option. The other thing I just want to quickly point out, that the 21st century buildings, I think, will be a showcase for our future plans for master planning and for our bond, if we go for a bond. It'll give people a chance to look at something about what is our vision for the future. So I think it will be an example, and I think once if we move in that direction, it will, bode well for supporting such a bond.
Any other comments from the public?
Hi there, my name is Yasmin Lee, Parent Club President and from Glorietta, one of them, and an Orinda resident. I guess I just wanted to make a comment that is one classroom going to be enough space for the next 2+ years? Because as it is, we're sending away all our TK kids, we're sending away kindergarten kids, and we're also sending away kids in other grades. So as I look out, it looks like you guys are only planning on adding one classroom over the next few years. I question whether that would be enough space. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public? Back to the board. Any other discussion?
Stuart, I'm concerned about the space too, and is there a fiscally responsible way to get the portable and get the double wide, thereby giving Glorietta 2 additional classrooms?
The answer is yes. Again, the decision is the board's about how you want to proceed. And my advice is that, if you were to do the double wide this year, if we can in fact make it happen, you would be making that commitment that that's how you want to solve this problem, by putting a portable versus a modular building. That's the choice. If you put...
What we're finding is that there's a need for an additional classroom. So this is a temporary way to create one additional classroom, which is what is needed for this coming school year based on the enrollment numbers that we have. So doing the one portable, realizing there might be some concerns about the placement of it, but doing that one portable is an inexpensive way to create that space while giving us time to look at other options, which, there are lots of ways to deal with over-enrollment at one site versus over-enrollment at district one, where you're under-enrollment district-wide. And I think starting to say, let's just build, 10 new classrooms in this one location, when there might be other ways that make more sense as a district. I'm looking at this as more like, let's take care of this immediate need, and then we can look at our enrollment for the following years and look at the Gen 7 buildings, more for looking at renovation and improvement of our facilities. This gives us a way to address the need for enrollment increase at this school for this year, without making those decisions and trying to scramble to put in the double wide.
Well, I understand that that's pretty time sensitive too. So, I understand that. I just didn't know. I'm just trying to respond to the parent concerns that even this additional classroom isn't going to be enough.
Well, like I said, when you have under-enrollment district-wide, I think then you have to start looking at what your options are as a district as a whole. And right now, we're basically being told that we need to address this enrollment increase at the kindergarten level at Glorietta for next year. So let's take care of that.
I think our chair and vice chair can schedule for us thinking of the broader issues of space and allocation in Glorietta and other schools far enough ahead of the curve. I think we're going to hit the ground running starting in August looking at things so that we can anticipate that growth.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to comment on that too. Just that when you asked the question, Carol, I wasn't sure if you meant this year or over the 2-year period, because that what I'm thinking is by putting this temporary portable in this year, we have one additional classroom for this coming year. And then for, you know, however, if we really needed to, if we had sudden enrollment growth, I don't know if next to portable 4, if there would be room for a temporary portable set, you know, similar to the one that you're planning to put next to the music room. But that's something no one has brought up. But if there isn't room for that, or that couldn't be done, the other thing I was thinking is the second year, looking at, okay, we've got to be adding next to portable for a second classroom, and at that point, you have a much better idea, do we need just, you know, 2 additional classrooms going forward, starting the following year or not? And if so, you know, we have a whole conversation about it.
So I really think that's for staff to tell us at that time, and at this point, what staff is telling us is that we have a need for 1 additional classroom, kindergarten classroom at Glorieta. How can we address that? These are the choices, this is the recommendation.
Well, I'm taking Julie's point too, Sarah, that it is a fact that we are under district-wide. And that presents some challenges for a campus that is over-enrolled. But district-wide, if we've got space, ultimately the fiscally responsible thing to do is fill that space.
Well, I don't know
So
that
staff is
we're
making a decision at this point that redirecting those kindergarten students will not work for this institution. And so they are recommending that we create a classroom space for this coming year to address that over-enrollment in that grade.
Right, I'm not arguing with that, but I do want to say, I mean, we did hear from the parent club president, right? We have heard from other parents about the enrollment situation at Glorieta that's crowded, that they need another classroom. And I just want to say, for the record, there isn't any enrollment data here. We don't have enrollment numbers. So we're making this decision without enrollment numbers. I know that the district is going to be talking about that soon with the principals. So I just want to say that for the record, but also what I was saying is to continue looking at this 2 years out, and I know the staff will continue looking at it. Julie, I was just saying what I was saying because this is our chance as a board to talk about this issue. So I think I'm in agreement. So thank you.
Any other discussion by the board? Items on for action.
I move we adopt action item J, the contract with HY Architects for the 2024. Oh, I'm sorry. Aye. Action item I, the contract with World Modular, I can't say that. Just action item. Aye.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. We will now move on to action item J, contract